Hi, everyone. This is Catching Up with the Nerds with your hosts, Tom, JC, and our special guest, once again, the one and only David. This is a podcast about two dads that are catching up on all the nerdy stuff we miss, sharing how we pass on our nerdy passions to our kids, and deep diving into nerd pop culture variants to make them more accessible for you. Welcome back.
He cannot be stopped.
That was smooth. That was smooth.
The pun gun is out.
On the spot, too. I got to admit, I wasn't planning that.
Yeah.
Cool. So welcome back to our special guest. I feel like maybe no longer special. I think you're a regular guest now. Upgraded to regular.
Upgraded or downgraded? Downgraded to regular. Upgraded?
No, I think it's upgrade to regular, man. You're special. We're like, we don't know if you're going to work out, so we call you special, but then you're like, you're a regular.
Okay. I'll keep working towards that. Keep catching up with the nerds pension. That'll eventually kick in.
From our host. I'm sorry, from our sponsor.
What?
We got approached by a sponsor.
We did. Well, we all have. I think that's the thing. We all have been approached by the same sponsor, which I don't know if you'll fit what we're trying to do here. Which I'll leave it to that. I think
more of
Dave also
more of a grit and grime thing.
I think it's more of a grit and grime special. I don't really want to. I'll leave it to that. I think it's a very dad specific sponsor.
We'll keep that as our Easter egg for everyone.
Yeah, it's a
for the audience to try to figure out. Yeah.
Anyway,
what are we doing today, Tom?
What are we doing today? We're back for some more Disney Plus loving, which is become also a regular thing, and we today are talking about Loki, episode 1 and 2. Is it a review? I don't know. We're just gonna sit down and talk about it and see what we liked and didn't like so much. We'll have a couple of theories as well. You know, we need some new hills to die on. Always. And that's it. I think it's the third TV series from Disney after WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and now we're getting Loki, the famous god of mischief, famous brother, of that guy with a hammer, Thor. And so what do we do? Where do we go from? I think, do we need to explain where does that, where does he happen within the whole MCU? For those who've not kind of understand why we're getting a Loki series. If you've not watched the last two, what is it? Endgame and what's the other one?
Infinity War.
Infinity War. I keep forgetting that one. It's an average film, isn't it? Infinity War and Endgame. There's a scene where Loki grabs one of the Infinity Stones. Well, it's not really stones. It's more of the it's called the cube again.
Tesseract.
That's right, exactly, and disappears into the void, and we don't know where he goes because that's the last time we see him in the movie. Oh, well, that's where we are. You're catching up, literally. We're catching up with Loki. Oh my God! Episode title: Catching Up with Loki. Yeah, that's amazing. On the spot. You're welcome, guys. And this is the point where we need JC to introduce episode 1 with his 3-line summary, I think.
Yes.
And this is where you go.
Patent pending. So, episode 1, Loki goes to the DMV.
Yeah.
For anybody out there in UK world doesn't know what DMV is, it's like where you go get your driver's license. It's a very boring bureaucratic place. Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson basically put on a stage play because they have a super long scene of dialogue. Time travel is trending. This is a thing. Tenet, Loki, time travel all around.
It feels like when we talk about time travel.
Yeah, episode 2, Loki does paperwork. Fascinating. We get the buddy comedy we've been waiting for. I have big thoughts about this. And the stakes get higher. Real stuff actually happens. And off we go.
Dude, it felt like I'm going to put that in because we'll start with the things we liked. And I think one of the things I like is something that makes me happy is because it's something that my wife can relate to, is you can see superheroes doing paperwork. And I know deep inside my wife was watching, she was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Look at them filling those paperworks, going into files, folders. Oh God. And I know she was there digging that part. So that's what I start with on Loki because you
If
said
he would have opened up a spreadsheet, I think that
Oh.
Ellie would have like screamed.
Yes. So we're one spreadsheet away from total happiness. But yeah, so that's where I'm going to start with the things I like. It's a shout out to all accountants out there and people that like to fit in paperwork and they like the Microsoft Word and Excel and
But it also mirrors Sam Wilson going to the bank to get a loan, right?
Oh, I didn't see
Like
that. Yes,
heroes doing ordinary things.
Hmm.
They've started to introduce that, something they'd never showed off before outside of seeing Hawkeye's family.
that's true. What's the next series after Loki? What are we getting? I'm getting ahead of myself.
Is it What If?
Is it What If? Oh, it's gonna be
Or
what? No.
Either that or Miss Marvel. But I don't think Miss Marvel's next up. I think it's What If.
So the next one, we're definitely getting somebody doing their taxes or going to the accountant. There has to be at least one scene of them going online and filling in their HMRC, which is Her Majesty's Revenue paperwork
and customs.
I'm all about them doing dishes and actually taking a dump. I need to see a superhero taking a dump next.
That's definitely coming up in Ant-Man and the Wasp if we haven't.
Exactly, that's what I was saying. We definitely had that in Ant-Man, right?
Yeah, that would be totally on brand for Ant-Man. Actually, that's a good point. Yeah.
Right, let's go around the table and see what you guys have enjoyed. This is the first part. What did you guys like? Who wants to go first?
Regular guest. Go on.
Regular guest. All right. Go on.
Extra regular. Oh man.
Fiber every day.
Yeah.
Oh god. Okay. I have liked the sort of existential nature of the introduction to the show. So in episode 1, when they tell us about the Nexus and the multiverse and the streams and how everything works, the fact that it sort of reduces everything to this kind of arbitrary task that is handled by this bureaucratic organization that is removed from time, the nature of not only the explanation, but the way that the TVA operates kind of reduces everything to nothing. And I think it's like on an existential level, it's kind of interesting philosophically to have had everything we've had happen in the Marvel universe and everything that happens in regular life. And then just the idea that there is something that is removed from time and space, belittling everything that seemed to be so important and so high stakes and so dramatic, right? So, and I think that at no point was that more evident than when Loki manages to fight his way out and outsmart the guards and go and get the dude that has access to the equipment, and he gets the Tesseract back and finds out that actually there's a bunch of Infinity Stones and they're just paperweights in this place. And it was hilarious to think, but then he has to stand there holding the Tesseract, just like, well, crap, what am I going to do with this? Like, everything that he thought was so important and so amazing and so incredible, even about himself, just gets totally belittled. Same thing happens when he goes up to see the judge. And he's like, I want to speak to the gods, God to God. And she doesn't even let him finish his sentence. She's just, nah, it's not going to happen. You're in my world now. You're going to do what I want you to. And he has no choice but to follow along.
Yeah.
And there's that bit with Owen Wilson where he says something like, "Oh yeah, so you chase like the really like bad variants." He's like, "Yeah, no, I chase the super variants, but you're not one of them. You're just a pussycat." Like his ego gets destroyed in so many levels. It's so good.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was great. I'm kind of 50-50. I like that they showed him what happens in his future. Because essentially, if they were to return him, they would erase this period in time from his existence anyway. And they'd put him back where he was in Endgame for time to go on and stuff. But I'm sure there's some kind of like weird time thing that doesn't make sense about them showing him that, considering the Avengers changed the timeline and stuff. I don't know.
Exactly. Well, this is what I found awesome, but also very much terrifying, is when you start thinking about it a little bit too much. You're like, it messes, your brain a lot. You're like, so there's no more. I think somebody wrote it on the doc, but it's like the free will versus fate theme that is running within that. I think that's to me the most interesting part of this. And every time they talk, you're trying to think about time travel and time related movies, you just start thinking about all these things, and it's like it rapidly can become, well, very confusing, but also very terrifying, because it's like, well, whatever actions you've taken there before, well, if you deviate from what they consider the main timeline, or that cannot be changed, everything's already written, everything's already known to happen. I'm like, oh, this cannot go well. I don't know. I found it terrifying, but also very fascinating. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen, what way they're going to go with it. And but there was a little bit of sadness when you saw all the Infinity Stones in there. I was like, oh, nothing means anything anymore. My life has been a lie. I want to go with something else that I like, going away, because now I'm starting to think about the whole extinction. I can't say it.
Existential.
I can't say it. Yeah, I tried. Anyway,
just say it in French. It'll sound so much more
even
like existential. Sorry.
It'll
sound amazing.
I can try. No, one of the things I was like, I love, was more of a style thing, which was the use of hand-drawn cartoons to show you the timekeepers and all that good stuff, and even the what's the name, the clock lady, that's how I call her, that represents the TVA and that does all the training for Loki and all that stuff. I like the style, that the way it's introduced, integrated within the realness, and then you got this little hand-drawn clock that goes around and just has a big mouth on her. But I like the vibe. I like the handmade cartoons, and I like the entire aesthetics of the series, which is like 1950s, 1960s. What's the word you used, JC, before we started recording? Those training, it's about like, if there's a nuclear blast, get under the table. That's a very American thing to do, right? There was like those training videos from the 50s, I think it was. That's the area cover. But it's also very Fallout, the video game. If you've ever seen the video game, there's those training videos, information videos in there that actually are very similar to this. And I don't know if that's where they got the inspiration from, but that's very reminiscent of that in particular. I thought that was something really cool that separates Loki from the other shows that we've got so far. Don't know. Anything else from anyone else?
Yeah, no. Funny enough, for me, one of the biggest things, I mean, so we talk about, like, to your point, like the look of stuff. You know how like all these shows are color graded in a way that it looks somewhat dull usually.
Yes.
I think this is the first thing they've done where that dullness kind of matches the aesthetic. It actually makes it look better. Like the background always feels like an old beat up carpet. And there's something really great about that, which I really like. It's kind of like going down to oh man, what's it? Why is it slipping? It's that whole complex in like East London that's like very dated, like 70s style. That's got all the apartment complexes we can go hang out in as well.
Oh, you mean what, in East London?
Yeah, well, not East London. It's like Clerkenwell-ish.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going, but go on.
We'll come back. It'll come back to me. Anyways, I try to get fancy there with very, very little success. So no, the point being is that I really like the aesthetic of it, like the whole Art Deco in the background, like that ginormous TV that keeps monitoring the timeline is like one of my favorite pieces of the set. I want that so bad. It's so cool. But then they go from that ginormous TV to like the little tiny screens that they're typing into, and like everything is like super pixelated, and that I thought was super cool. the fact that this is about time travel, but time travel is probably the thing that I care least about in this show is kind of nice to me, because I agree. It's like we could totally get into like there's some stuff that it doesn't quite add up. Like if they took Loki out of that timeline, then he never goes on to die. So it kind of like negates like everything we saw. So I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But I kind of don't care in this one, because what I'm there for is like all the dialogue. The dialogue between Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston is just so good. The fact that we get to sit with the character, just listen to him talk, and Owen Wilson like deconstructs Loki in that one scene, just takes him apart to the point that he like has to admit, I don't actually like hurting people. It was just a means to an end. To me, it was just like, it was like watching like a really good play, which we've never seen in the MCU. So that I was so there for.
That scene was amazing. That one scene there, I was like, I thought that was written so well and acted extremely. It was done. It was properly done, and then you saw the emotion of Loki going back into the room and seeing that his mother died. Or will die, or like, I can't remember. No, is that the mother who dies? I can't remember this. He's fast forwarding the video, and then he realizes that
he returns to watch it again. He
had
already been showed it, and then
Yeah.
he goes and watches it back again, and it's kind of like, wow, like damn,
yeah.
I can't believe I'm going to do that.
So I thought that was very emotional. It's one of those scenes. It's like we had that one scene I wanted multiple time in WandaVision, but then I wasn't expecting them to go deep already in episode 1. In like one of the scene halfway through the episode, I'm like, okay, already hitting us with emotional stuff. I thought they would take it lightly a little bit for the first one, but I was like, yeah, that's really good if you can do that already. Amazing. And any more likes? Any more likes for us listeners?
Sego?
I don't know. I like a lot of things about it.
It's
funny. The humor. I think the humor's some of the best humor we've gotten so far as well from these TV shows. Not just mostly between the two of them, but also just some of the environmental jokes and things like that. Like with the guy not knowing what didn't he know? He didn't know
fish.
something. Yeah, he didn't know what fish
Yes.
were. And that just sort of put things in perspective as to how like removed they are from time and space. So there's
Which links to my theory.
Which
Which I'll have in a bit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, it's genuinely funny.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's got like the right mix of like dry humor and like outright like slapstick at times. But just Tom Hiddleston is just acting his pants off, and Owen Wilson, he still blows my mind how he's built a career on just acting like himself. But it just works so well, because I thought like, oh, that's a weird choice to put him in an action movie, because he's not like a super good action guy. He does some action, but it didn't make sense, and he's just playing this perfectly. It's exactly, he's like totally subverting like Loki's overconfidence. He subverts with just like these like little smart remarks that just like take him apart every time. And that's the part that I'm really, really enjoying about this, that we got the promise of a buddy action film with Falcon the Winter Soldier. And it's the part of that series that I think fell in his face.
Yeah.
Because it became about like all these other themes that were way more interesting than their relationship. And this relationship I genuinely care about.
Yeah.
And it's in little moments that they take to build up like the jet ski thing, right? He's like, so why do you have that jet ski thing? He's like, because it's like the perfect thing ever invented. I love it. It's like the dumbest like comment, but it's what means something to him in a place where they're so removed from the actual reality they're protecting, right? So like things that are building up that way, I'm so there for. I think that's the ride I want to go on. And I hope they don't lean out of that and then make it like about many different things. Because I like that the show is about one thing, Loki and going after the other variant. Done. Don't introduce anything else, because then it's good. It's going to be good.
One thing we're missing from Owen Wilson though is wow, or whatever he does now. Wow.
Actually,
I hope there's one coming in the last episode.
Yeah, I think they're saving that. That's a good
saving
point,
that one moment is coming. Please.
All right. So should we move on to Tom's favorite segment?
which is the hate part.
Yeah, Duncan.
Well, I don't know, man. It's like, okay, let's move on to things we didn't like. But like, I don't know, man. I find it hard to find something I didn't like.
No tenant level dunking on this one, buddy.
No, let me tell you. I finished both episodes and I went, there's nothing in there that I would have added or taken away, or there's nothing that jumped out to me that was like, why is this in here? Or, there was nothing, absolutely nothing. Like in a couple episodes of Falcon, I was like, come on, let's do this. But in this one, I'm just enjoying the ride. I want to see where they're going with this, and I want to see. I was very happy with the big reveal of the character they're chasing, because I was like, there's one point where it's like, in episode 1, I think, when they go, oh, the variant we're chasing is you, and I'm like, nah. So that was okay if you want to put in the not like, but that was completely destroyed by the fact that, well, actually in the end it wasn't him, or maybe it's not him in his Loki male form. Spoiler. It's actually Lady Loki.
Yeah.
Spoilers. So yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about it. I'm actually really enjoying it. Like, there's nothing you won't get any fire from me today. Nothing. Nothing. It's only basketball related. I'm keeping that for another podcast. Anyway, what do you guys have?
Save the dunking for Space Jam.
Yes. Oh yes. Dave, what you got? What do you like?
Yeah, I'm in a similar position. I don't really, nothing really jumped out to me as disappointing or particularly weak as yet. Part of me finds it a little bit, not reductive isn't the word, but the fact that they seem to have Loki figured out so well. And Mobius basically puts it down to his experience of like dealing with variants for so long and whatever else. But I don't know, like it's almost too easy, if you know what I mean. The handle that they have on Loki. Yeah. Psychologically. It's a bit too convenient. But
I think for now, yes, I think there's going to be a twist somewhere, somehow, at some point. There's going to, I mean, how many? There's not that many ways you can go with Loki. Like, he's going to try and betray you. So that's pretty much his how he's living his life. His God life is just like is going to try and get whatever the situation is. He's going to try and do him right. He's gonna. It doesn't matter who I've got to betray. It doesn't matter what I do, what I have to do and say. So that's the thing, though. That's one thing with Loki, that he's in a way can be very unidimensional, right?
But then not much. Now I guess they've taken that dimension away, so it's all just a matter of seeing
he's flat.
What he does, seeing what he does, whether he does try and betray them or whether he does try to help them. Like, especially with where they left the cliffhanger with him disappearing through the portal. Not going to step on the toes of predictions, but like, which way does he go morally? Does he follow her and try to scupper her plans, or does he follow her and try to join forces as he did in the supermarket?
JC?
Which is a perfect pivot into the stuff that I didn't like. Because there were actually some things I didn't like, although I would say I do love the show.
That's fine.
But it's actually just the set pieces.
Okay.
Or sorry, set design. As much as I love the kind of the Art Deco, like DMV, TVA sort of setup, that I absolutely love. I did find it odd when every time they look out the window, everything looks super futuristic, but where they are, everything's like Art Deco, like 70s, 60s design. I'm like, it doesn't match. Like,
how do you know that's not what the future looks like?
Yeah.
But true. So I will give them that. I will absolutely give them that. So those are the discrepancies there, but I like the design of the world outside, which is really cool. But the big one for me is like when they're in Pompeii, that just looked fake. Like, it looks super fake. Like, I'm like, come on, guys, just go on location.
Yeah, I've been to Pompeii, and there's nothing like that. They seem to be coming out of a corridor.
Yeah.
It was like there was a corridor in the front of the set, and then they stepped out to where whatever the buildings were, and then Vesuvius is in the background, and it's very open. It's very open in Pompeii.
It's
Yeah.
fine.
Like for a minute there when they started that scene, I'm like, are they gonna seriously just stand in front of a green screen and have this whole scene play out? I thought they weren't even gonna go into the actual environment. And like he goes into it, and it's like it looks like a fake stage. I'm like, oh come on. And it's like you got Disney money, but I think that's what's gonna happen with this. It's like when you're paying for Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, it's like you gotta cut corners somewhere. I think it's gonna be on stages because once again, the big reveal happening at a supermarket. Like,
come on.
It's the equivalent of Civil War happening in an airport parking lot, right? It's like it's the most boring setting ever. And I'm gonna say it, where Zack Snyder has the settings. They're always like super epic. Say what you will about everything else, but the setting is always epic, and that's why I'm like. I'm not saying this had to be like at the top of a building or something, but just somewhere more interesting to like set off the little bombs that were going to go off than a supermarket.
That's a good point as well, because
that's a good point. Yeah,
it was also at this point they figured out that they need to chase apocalypses, right? And for that to be the apocalypse, right? Like a few people in a town with a hurricane coming. It didn't even seem like there was that many people. Like. Yeah, it didn't seem like much. And yeah, again, going back to Pompeii, the 7 people in that shot.
yeah. The more I think about it, the more I can picture it being a little bit cheap.
Yeah. They definitely cut corners on the.
So how many extras? How many extras can we get? I will get 10 today. Oh, fine. Just can we get more? Nah, just go with it. Then.
Yeah, surely when Stan Lee like wrote this, I was like, where should we take Loki? Alabama.
Alabama, man.
2050 Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll say like day after Juneteenth, maybe a little tone deaf. So I'm just saying, like overall, the setting was not what I wanted it to be, but what happened in the setting was super cool, super cool.
Yeah,
just the setting. Yeah.
You see, that's why. I mean, I don't have much in the dislike category, but like. Can we just talk a little bit just real quick about the ending? You know, that last scene of the big reveal of Lady Loki, and that I thought that was pretty cool. But she sent back, you know, those bombs or whatever they call them to the main timeline just to destroy everything. And I was like, oh no, she didn't. No, she didn't. But I like the Lady Loki, and I've not looked into her too much. I only went onto quickly on YouTube on the interwebs to see who she was and what she does. But yeah, she seems to be a very interesting character. So there's a lot of people that were arguing that she's just Loki in disguise. You know, him pretending to be the lady version of himself. The other side of the argument is like, no, it's a brand new character. It's somebody else they're introducing that could be, you know, his sister or whatever. So I don't know where you guys stand with that. Like, who do you think she is? Like, do you think she's a new character? Do you think it's Loki in disguise? What do you got?
Well, that one of the step on the toes of one of the Easter eggs. It was found by a fan that in like the Portuguese translation, her character, instead of having the name Loki variant or something like that, has the name Sylvie, which is actually the Enchantress's name. And we know the Enchantress as another Asgardian villain. And she, you know, like when she's standing in the hood with her, you can't see my arms. I was going to see what she does, but there's no point.
That works well for a podcast. Yeah, go on.
Whether you're audio or visual, you're not going to have a clue what I'm talking about. She stands and there's like a profile view of her, and you can see her hands glowing green, and the Enchantress's hands glow green when she uses her powers. And she also has some of those powers that Loki has in terms of being able to put her presence
Yes.
in people and all that stuff.
Yeah, I really like that that bit about transferring her, going from one character to another and still trying to make you understand that it's a Loki-like character, the way it's acted by all these different guys there in that scene. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, as soon as he touched his hand with another one, you still have, and that's why it was very misleading. And I like that it was you thought it was Loki in their body, and you thought it was Tom Hiddleston acting. Well, the same brand of acting. I thought that was really cool until you got the big reveal. JC, you had something to say, so I cut you off.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. No, but yeah, that's a good point. That scene was really cool. Like how they all acted like Tom Hiddleston, and it goes to show how well Tom Hiddleston has defined that character. They could all imitate him that well. That was pretty cool. And actually, interesting what he said, because, and it's back to what David said, it kind of blows apart something that I kept thinking about, which is like, all right, so we're like into the multiverse, right? This is another version of Loki that we're getting, and we're going to start to meet other versions of everyone. But yeah, that would kind of kill that theory. And coming back to my point about the time travel is the thing I care least about in the show. I care more about the multiverse, which I know technically is time related and stuff, but I care more about like the branching off of the multiverse more than the time travel, because just seeing, even when they show him all those other versions of him they got, I'm like, all right, so these space lizards are keeping the multiverse timeline together, but there's still different versions of everyone within the timeline they're keeping together. So when it branches, what the hell is going to happen? So that's the part that I'm more interested about now. So I'm like, okay. So I kept thinking like, this is just like Loki in another version, like kind of like in the what if scenarios. But if it's the Enchantress, then that would make sense with them leaning so hard into like Ragnarok. Right, because they really, episode 2 Ragnarok became a real theme, and first one we got Dark World, so they're coming back to a lot of like Asgardian themes. So actually, that would make more sense in a lot of ways.
Yeah, or it is. I mean, that is a good point actually about the other Lokis, because you could interpret that as when there was a multiverse, there was those Lokis in the multiverse, and now they've compressed it. And there's just meant to be this one Loki, but there's actually 2 Lokis that have both happened to leave the timeline at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. Exactly. It's a lot. It's as soon as you start like trying to think in, like, it just goes. I don't know. My brain cannot handle.
And
that sort of thing.
Short note. Isn't it interesting that we have these whatever creatures, the timekeepers, that are clearly some type of all godly alien beings, but everyone that works at the TVA is human?
Well, that's one of the theories I was reading about that. You know how they when they send those squads. It's true. They send those squads around to clean up a timeline and then get those variants. And there's an expression they said is about you reset them. You reset those variants, but like they never tell you what reset means. You don't actually know what that means.
It's when the bomb thing goes off, it disintegrates everything that happened in the scene, and it returns to how it was before the variant messed it up.
They prune them.
But do they return and forget everything that happened? It just carries on. And like, let's say I myself grab something and then I branch out into another timeline and I come back now, actually carry on.
Because they mentioned it in episode 1, how they said time works differently here.
It's my theory.
So I think essentially, and the whole red line thing, we have to get them before they get to the red line.
Yes.
I think that is the time period that they have to basically reset things before they become set.
Yes.
So if provided they do it in that window, their time, I don't think they live on our time. Provided they do it in that window, their time, everything carries on as it was supposed to. So I think there's like an element of like time freezing when they turn up.
Then you've got a time window to correct it and bring it back to where it was.
That was my interpretation of it anyway.
That's how I got it too.
And that's what those bombs do.
It sounds like we moved into theories, the theories part of the episode. So I'm going to go ahead with my theory, which it was funny because I thought about it and then somebody else mentioned it in one of my many YouTube videos I watch. And so they managed to compress it to something that I can now reblurb. So the theory I had is that the TVA, and that's what JC was talking about, like how it looks from the outside. Like, where is it? What is it? What's the TVA? What's the world they live in? My theory was actually they are stuck in the I forgot the word now, where Ant-Man gets stuck.
The quantum
realm.
Is it?
Realm.
Yeah.
So the TVA themselves, the whole town, the whole thing you see is in the quantum realm. So if you remember in Ant-Man, there's one bit, I think in the second one, where they rescue the mom. They go down there and the mom says, "Oh, time works differently." Ant-Man gets stuck in there for 5 years, which is 5 minutes for him, or 5 months, or whatever it was, 5 hours, 5 hours for him. And he say, "Oh, times works differently." Episode 1, that's mentioned by Morbius, and he goes, "Well, times works a little differently here." And you see that town that looks very, very alike what you see from outside the window in episode 1. Actually, throughout the 2 episodes, you see those structures, and it looks exactly like the structures you see in Ant-Man and the Wasp when you go and travel around. So my thinking is, they are actually within the quantum realm, and they're using those doors that you see them coming in and out to travel, like the Avengers did, like Ant-Man did. So they're just stuck in there. That's why they're out of reach from anyone else, and that's how they can literally travel at wherever they want, and they stay in there and they're out of time, basically, or they in a different time zone. I don't know how you can explain the quantum realm. I know it's been done, but I don't want to break your brains. What do you think? Do you think they're in there? Do you think they're in a different universe? It holds.
That does hold. They're clearly removed from time and space as we know it. That would make sense. That would be a nice way of putting them somewhere that we are already familiar with. And I think the theory stands up by the fact that they said the exact same thing that was said in Ant-Man, like you said. That can't be a coincidence now that I think about it.
And one of the timekeeper, that's my other theory, is actually Kang, which is going to be the bad guy in Ant-Man.
Ant-Man and the Wasp,
the third one.
It's called movie. Quantum
Mania.
Quantum Mania. Yeah.
So I think we're getting some Kang. Hey, no more Mephisto.
Kang's a time traveling villain.
Time traveling.
It looks like he has a purple TV on his head. But he he was the villain in the I want to say original, but there is no original in they made an Avengers. They made an Avengers cartoon just before the MCU sort of became what it became, and then they scrapped it when Disney got all the licenses basically, and redid it and called it because that one I think was called Earth's Mightiest Avengers or something like that, and then the new one was something different, Avengers Assemble.
Yep.
And in that original one, the season 1 villain was Kang, and he took them all through all kinds of like time related stuff. But he's a time hopper from the future that has a lot of power to do a lot of things with the timeline. And
but what I'm saying, we'll get him in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man 3, but I think we're getting him now as well, along with Mephisto. I want to put Mephisto in there because we've seen the devil in that church in episode 1.
We just mixing theories and Easter eggs and everything's just going in the pot now.
I never let it go until I see Mephisto showing up. I don't care.
They were trolling because the showrunners said that there is no Mephisto in Loki, so don't look for him. And then in the first episode, they point at the devil. I was just like, these people are such trolls. Oh my gosh.
I don't have so much of a theory as much as I think just a series of things that are getting connected that I'm very excited about. So first off, I'm super surprised that we haven't talked about this yet, which is they keep talking about Nexus events, and Nexus is one of the ads in Wanda, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and we know she's a Nexus being. So I'm like, what this means for Wanda, I'm super excited about. Like, doesn't she also, because she's a Nexus being, does she have the ability to split off the timeline and not mess things up, or does she not impact the timeline from whatever she does? Like, how what we just learned based on what we know about Wanda, how does that tie together? To me, it's super interesting.
Well, isn't the Nexus the one that is supposed to be the one constant, right, in all the timelines and all that stuff? So technically, she's not able to mess up any timeline, so she could basically just appear there.
But exactly, but then why they call it Nexus event when there's a split, right? Yeah. So I'm like, that's the part that I'm like not understanding so much. And then we know this leads into the multiverse of madness, right? So we know the multiverse is going to get, like, Loki basically just opened up the multiverse, right?
Yeah.
Or sorry, Lady Loki just opened up the multiverse.
Yeah.
Leads into multiverse of madness. Then it goes into quantum mania. So we're going to be in time travel world for a long time. And we know that Secret Wars is coming at some point. So for me, that's like the most exciting thing about it. This is like, I feel like the big MCU just moved significantly towards where we're going to go, where we were looking for that in the last two shows and didn't really get it.
Yep.
We finally got something like, oh, now this ties very nicely. And I will go back to the hill that I died on. And this sets up the X-Men.
yeah. If you give me Mephisto, I'll give you the X-Men. That's a trade.
It probably won't, but
well, I heard a rumor that I'm getting what I want anyway, so I'll hold off on that. Yeah, I mean the rumor is that Namor is going to be involved in Wakanda Forever, the Black Panther sequel, and he was defined originally as a mutant in Marvel Comics. So he could be the first mutant that we see, or he's the first confirmed mutant in the MCU, I guess, if you don't count Wiccan and Speed and Quicksilver. And whatever other weird stuff has been shown already.
Well, and Wanda.
Wanda.
There's that one. But also the rumor has it that the casting's Latino. A guy that actually from Narcos might be playing him.
Oh yes, yeah.
The rumor so far, so we'll see if it actually plays out. But that'd be pretty cool. Got a lead Latino in there. So so super. I think it's setting up really cool stuff, and I'm really looking forward to that. I think just about the only thing in terms of things that I'm looking forward to is like Loki's redemption, what that looks like. Because I agree with you, David. I think that they got from bad Loki into good, helpful Loki very quickly, right? Yeah. It's a little convenient that I like the progression of it. I just wish they would have spaced it out a little more, because everything that led him to that point makes total sense. And like seeing his mom die, but it all happened very quickly, right? So I'm like, we're now back to Loki that we all kind of liked now, right? And it's like there needs to be some arc to him, because if that's his arc, like he's going to be likable Loki for the rest of us and just be a good guy for the rest of us, like then there's no point in the rest of the show. Like what's the next journey he goes on to? Does he like opt into like going, you know what, I'm going to return to the timeline where I die, because that's what I was meant to do. That is my glorious purpose, right? Because that's what the title of that first episode, I think, is the best episode title we've had, because it's all about breaking down what he thought was his purpose and giving him a new purpose. And I think that's what this can be the theme of the show to a certain degree. And so I'm curious to see where that goes. And I'm hoping that they don't just leave it at just like, oh yeah, he's like good now. It's like, I want to have multiple turns if possible.
Yeah, for sure. He wouldn't be Loki if he didn't, right?
Exactly.
As we said before. And we'll get to see what decisions he makes when he follows Lady Loki into that portal.
All right, so let's conclude. Wait, before we hang up, what's where do you guys think they went? Or do you think Loki followed Lady Loki? Do you think Loki went somewhere else? Did he go after her? Do you think?
Same portal, same place, I assume.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know. Could end up somewhere else.
What?
Don't know. I wouldn't put it past Marvel to do something like that. So then he ends up. Yep.
Oh wait, I did leave one out. There's one thing I do want from the show, big time. Forgot to mention. Did you guys ever watch Quantum Leap? The series?
Yeah.
Of course.
I want us to totally go Quantum Leap, because as soon as all those variants spread out, wouldn't it be cool for like Loki and Owen Wilson just drop into each of those variants and try to fix each one by like stepping into like it's same like they showed us early, like when he steps into being DH Webb, DH something, the guy that like basically hijacks the plane. That he was like,
is it Cooper?
Cooper, yeah,
DH Cooper or something.
That's him.
Steps into that role to play a part in history, because we know from the trailer that they go into moments in history. So I'm like, if it's them like jumping around to each and fixing each of those moments by playing somebody in that world, I'm like so there for that. That would make me ridiculously happy.
And that's funny you mentioned that, because that's what I thought would be happening. Like episode 1 went that way a little bit, but then episode 2 went completely different. We went like, okay, now it's mission time. And I thought, or maybe this is, then that's what I'm saying with the you said taking the same door and you land the same door. Maybe that's what happens next. Maybe they go into they went it through the same door and then end up in the same place, but then Lady Loki is not somebody else. You're now assuming that, but it needs to be something like one of those famous event that happens, right? Like I don't know, like a sad one, like JFK getting shot. Do you know, like those life-changing event. So it's like suddenly you again, I'm talking rubbish, but like you step into
Alabama.
1965 Dallas is in 65, wasn't it? When the shoot.
67.
67. So anyway, Dallas in the 60s, and then Loki is now a guy, an FBI guy that's there, and then Lady Loki is the shooter or whatever, something like that. Then that would be cool. Yeah, I'd be more than happy if they go that direction. But then you realize that Lady Loki maybe isn't the baddie of the series. Then there's somebody else there, or I don't know, maybe she is, and then they jump again, like they almost get caught and then they jump into another one. There's more. Mephisto is actually the guy. She's trying to kill Mephisto.
Let's not do this again. I think she's the big baddie.
She is.
That leads nicely into actually something that I didn't really engage with too much. It's been on my YouTube recommendations like all week long. Ever since the show started, pretty much, and that's The List, right? We're talking about them. We're talking about Loki following Lady Loki through the portal. When each of the bombs dropped through, they show a list of destinations and time zones, and I actually have the frozen list here. So the events are, it's American dates. Wait a minute.
Translate that.
So 31st month.
31st month, yes, I agree.
March 31st, 1492 at 4:06 a.m. in Lisbon, Portugal.
Shit, that's who's,
what's this? 23rd of April. How do I even say this? 2301 at 8:39:42 in Vormir.
Vormir. That's the planet where they have
Skull was, right?
Red Skull,
Right?
Yeah.
The
Soul Stone.
Yeah.
Oh.
Damn.
That just clicked. Sorry, I'm late to the game.
Quantum Leap is getting real excited now, isn't it?
Yeah.
25th of October, 1551 in Thornton, USA at 6:09:34.
Wait, what year was it?
1551.
1551.
Where? I'm gonna Google
Thornton, USA.
15. Salem witch trials.
That's what I'm thinking, but isn't that too
1500s?
No, but that would have been that tracks. Yeah, that tracks because it's after 14. Wait, no, no. The U.S. was founded in 1776. No, that's too early.
Mm.
That's
Hang
too
on,
early.
I'm almost there.
Too early because they've been after the colonies. No, actually, it might.
We can come back. I'll sift through the
Yeah, carry
video
on.
and see what I can find. That was that one. 22nd of November 1999 at 8 a.m. 8:02, Cookville, USA. And then February 16th, 2004. So this is in the heart of the MCU. At 2:21:03 in Asgard.
Yeah, Ragnarok.
Ragnarok. Yep.
Right. And then I think it might be before Ragnarok though. 2004.
I don't know.
And then
Or Dark World.
yeah, it could be October 3rd, 1390.
That's in Rome.
In Rome, Italy.
Yep.
1390. Okay.
That's something to do with the Pope getting murdered.
Ah.
Kang confirmed. Time travel. Apparently, there's a bunch of other dates, but the 1551 Thornton is one of those days. There's not really obvious. Seeing the list, people are like, we don't really know.
Because it wouldn't have been called Thornton, presumably, but yet.
Yeah.
Could
it be? I don't know. Oof.
Could it be one that we've been to already? Did they tell us the date of all the places that they went to in episode 1?
I remember. Not gonna lie, I cannot remember.
No, they showed dates pretty consistently.
Okay.
I don't remember that one. Okay, we'll find out.
Yeah, and then one of the later dates, one of the later events is in Titan. There's one in New York in 1947. Tokyo, 84. Hala. Wow, 051. It's a long time ago. And then Kingsport, USA in 99.
Hang on, I'm interested by Tokyo is where we find and there's nothing. At the start of Endgame. It's where we go back to get Hawkeye, right? But that wouldn't be. Do you remember that scene when Black Widow goes back?
But he was.
I think he's got nothing to.
That wasn't back in time. Yeah, that wasn't back in time.
Wolverine Japanese movie. Where Wolverine goes to Japan.
Oh God, yeah, why not?
Which actually I haven't watched, but I need to go back.
Oh, that film's okay. Yeah, that film's okay.
Yeah.
Wolverine,
okay.
Or the Wolverine, or whatever it's called. Yeah, it's an okay film.
Looking up at the 1982 Titan one, I think you mentioned, right? According to Marvel, and it's dating the graphic novel of The Death of Captain Marvel. This is when it happened. So I don't know if she's trying to save Captain Marvel, kill Captain Marvel, do something to Captain Marvel. I don't know, but leave Captain Marvel alone. Damn it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then one of the locations is Ego.
Yeah.
Ego himself, itself.
Oh.
Their self.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like the sentient planet? Or no?
It's
Star-Lord's dad.
It's the dad, but it's called
Yeah.
It's got its own very name. Oh God, why my brain gone today?
Kurt Russell?
Yes, Kurt Russell, but it's Celestial. That's what I'm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Ooh, maybe get a little sneak peek to the Eternals.
Yeah, exactly, the Eternals. That's where.
Yeah. A movie set in real places. No.
Yeah.
The Canary Islands. Shout out to Canary Islands. Yeah.
Yeah. Not in a parking lot or a supermarket.
Parking lot.
Real places.
Film on location in the Canaries.
Splash that money, Disney.
Splash that cash money. Anyway, anything else you guys want to add for those first two episodes? One word to sum up how you felt or what you thought about those first two episodes. One word. See, I'm putting you on the spot, but one word. But I'm gonna go first. Intriguing.
How dare you? Damn, that was my word.
Boom. Well, I guess we all agree then. JC, you got nothing. I can really.
Oh yeah, I guess. No, funny enough, it's like I think the one thing is like nerdy. This is such a nerdy show. I just felt very comfortably like leaning into the nerdiness, where I think some of those shows, like the nerdiness just kind of like hit back and went like, no, it's not nerdy. Go back into your box.
Do it again.
No, this one embraced my nerdiness.
Yeah, maybe that's why I liked it. Yeah. And Dave, you can say another word.
Potential.
Ooh, yes. Yes. MCU level potential. Big stakes potential. Yeah, dude. I like it. Very well done.
All right, cool. Let's leave it there, and we'll reconvene for episode 3 and 4, I guess. How many episodes in total? 6, the usual.
6.
I would assume.
That's also what I was going to ask.
I think this is where we're going. That's going to be the new thing from Disney. Well, new thing.
Yeah.
Or the format they'll adopt.
Every 2, so we break it up with something else. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, so let's put it in the calendars. We'll reconvene for 3 and 4 and 5, 6 later on.
Nice.
Anyway, yes, JC. Yeah, it was just a yes. Okay, cool. I'm hearing voices.
Agreeing.
I need coffee. All right, cool. Anyway, we'll leave it here. And again, thanks for listening to us talking about something we enjoyed, which is Loki. Thanks, Dave, for joining again, our regular guest, which will regularly get back on the show.
Just having all those Prunes and Metamucil is like our most regular guests we've got.
Yeah. Dave, what else? Where else can we find you? Are you on any other podcast by any chance?
I'm trying to get out there. I'm trying to be around. I'm also on the Grit and Grind Basketball podcast, talking basketball with some weirdos. You wouldn't be interested in the stuff that they say. But no, Tom's on there. Great guys. Jose and Michael are on there as well. And we just break down the NBA every week on all platforms. Grit and Grime.
Grit and Grime. Look it up. Okay. It's all good. And then we are saying goodbye to JC too. Thanks for joining us on this special episode of Loki. Make sure you catch us on all of our social media: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. And I think that's about it. That's it. Please like, share, and subscribe, and leave us a comment, because that's helping a lot when you leave comments anywhere, or reviews. That's also cool.
Totally. And thanks to Tom for being producer extraordinaire. And a happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Assuming this is dropping either on Father's Day or a day after. Enjoy. Have a great time with the kids.
All right. Goodbye then.
Legos.